Hey E36 Fanatics, Steven here. Today I'm going to be talking about how the BMW Z4 is a freaking awesome car, and how if you're looking for a used BMW, you should strongly consider buying a Z4 if some of the things I'm going to talk about fit into your preferences. So what makes these BMW Z4s such an awesome car? Well, first off, I'm a DIY guy. I like doing all my own maintenance. So we have a couple different cars here at the house. So I like cars that don't require a ton of maintenance. I like to drive them around, maybe do some oil changes, maybe do some major repairs every now and then. But, I don't like cars that are going to require a ton of work all the time. And I can safely say to you that the Z4 is a really good car in terms of low maintenance. We have owned this car now for, 5-6 years now? Longer than that, probably.
Longer than that.
Yeah, longer than 5 or 6 years we've had this car. And it now has, it's not really up there, but it's past 100K. It's got about 117,000 miles on it. So I wouldn't call it a really high mileage BMW, but it's getting up there. And so far, I don't think we've had to take it and get a serious repair done that costs a few $100s for several years. It's been nothing but oil changes and tire changes for a very long time, and a brake pad replacement, of course, something like that. So these cars are really low maintenance in terms of that. And then the next thing that I really like about these vehicles is that they're just a lot of fun. The handling is very good. These are stiff cars. They got really stiff suspensions, and I really love that about these vehicles. They're a real joy to drive around town. Something else that is really cool about these cars is that, these are two-seater roadsters, convertibles. You don't expect them to have a lot of luggage space. You don't expect to be able to carry much stuff in them. But man, these freaking trunks got plenty of space. I was really surprised when we bought this car. Another thing I really like about the Z4 is that these are just really, really nice cars. I mean, these are gorgeous BMWs. BMW really did well with the Z4. The look of the car, I just put the top down here so you can see it like this. These are nice looking cars, and they're a real joy to drive around. Like I said, the handling is great. They're little sports cars, so they're a great ride. There are a few downsides to these cars, and I'll get into those in just a second, but overall, I really like the Z4 and what they've done with it. Now, just to give you some stats on what the Z4s are, they're basically, they're the BMWs two-seat sports cars. This one right here is a 2.5 liter. It's an inline 6-cylinder. They also they still might make some inline 4-cylinder Z4s. So you got the option between the two. I would definitely if you can, get the inline 6. Something else I wanted to mention about the practicality of these vehicles is how inexpensive they are. Now, we got this car several years ago, but I was just on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist surfing around for used Z4s, about in the 2010, 2012, 2008 range, that kind of area. And you can get a really good example for under 10,000 right now. And I think for these cars, it's a real steal. So that's another nice thing about these cars, is you're not going to break your wallet trying to buy a used one. So as much as I really like these cars, I do have to talk to you about a few of the downsides that I have seen with these vehicles. The number one really is that they are super low to the ground. I mean, these are two-seater sports cars, so they're going to be low to the ground. If you've ever driven a regular 3 Series, those are relatively low to the ground. But these, whenever I drive this car around, you have to do the whole sideways over a speed bump, or you're going to hit it easy. Anything in the road that's in the road, you have to dodge, or it's gonna hit the bottom of the vehicle. So, I mean, being low to the ground isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there's a reason they do that. You need it for sports vehicles and such, but it also has its downside. The other downside of it is, obviously, it's a two-seater convertible. This isn't a family car. If you've got a whole family with you, 5 people or something like that, obviously this is not going to be a practical car. This is a fun car to drive around when it's the summertime, when it's the springtime. and then you stuff in your garage during winter. You don't want to be driving this thing around when it's 20, 30 degrees outside. So that's another thing about it from a practical standpoint, is that these are very, very fair weather vehicles. But something else that's I've noticed that I really like about the Z4s, and this is going back to the maintenance stuff. So if you've seen my channel before, or if you're a new person here, if you're new here, you should subscribe. I make a lot of cool videos about BMWs, Z36s, all kinds of stuff. If you are a current subscriber, then you've seen my BMW E36s. They're all convertibles. Well, those convertible tops, those automatic convertible tops, they pretty much all stop working after about, after a certain amount of miles. Either the mechanism breaks, one of the motors breaks, something working the top breaks. So this vehicle is pushing 16 years old. It's got 116,000 miles on it, and we have never had a problem with the convertible top. And obviously it's an automatic. So that's another good thing about these vehicles, that their tops usually last a good long time, because top work, I'll tell you, man, is very, very expensive. So you don't want an unreliable convertible. So to summarize, the BMW Z4 has a lot of good points about it. They're relatively inexpensive. They're really nice cars. The maintenance is low, and they're great to drive around the city. It has a few downsides, but that's mainly just inherent in a sports car in the first place. If you're in the market for some sort of sports car, then I would say the Z4 is an excellent choice, and I would certainly recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.